As a Protestant pastor, Martin Luther got Romans 3:28 wrong. He is talking about justification with works, and I would have caught this sooner had I kept reading. How do you persuade Jews of what it means to be saved? Well, the best two examples are to point to Abraham and David, who just so happen to be the examples Paul goes to next in Romans chapter 4. And so Paul quotes David, and he says, just as David speaks of the blessing of the one to whom God counts righteousness. So David's going to be the prime example of somebody counted righteous in the way that Paul is talking about. And so David says, blessed are those whose lawless deeds are forgiven, and whose sins are covered. Blessed is the man against whom the Lord will not count his sin. So David is going to be the prime example of a man counted righteous, whose deeds and works are lawless, who is filled with sin, and yet the Lord does not count his sin against him. Now, Abraham was put forward right before this as Abraham believed God and it was counted to him as righteousness. But what you're supposed to catch is that right in the middle of Abraham and David is a descriptor of God. God is the one who justifies the ungodly, the idolater. We know Abraham was an idolater. This is how Joshua presents him. We know David was an adulterer, and yet both of these men were counted righteous because they believed God in spite of the fact that their works were lawless. They were sinners. And so Paul is making an argument, justification by faith with works. However, those are sinful works, but God does not hold them against you because of your faith in Christ. So we are saved by grace through faith, despite our sinful works. I think Jonathan Edwards said it best. You do contribute to your salvation, the sin that made it necessary.